Now, back to the interview from a few minutes ago with Barnes, Leslie, and Jimmy. The best of the Morning X. 99X.
Hello.
Hey, Chris, you're on with Lisa Whelchel.
Hey,
Hi.
Lisa Whelchel, it's such a pleasure to be able to talk to you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Well, listen, when I was, I say when I was a kid, but a few years back, like 10 years ago, maybe 12, 15, you had put out an album, and I lived probably about 4 miles from the nearest record store, and I hopped on my bike and I rode out and I bought this cassette, actually, and I was wondering, did you ever put out any other recordings?
Oh, thank you very much for buying that album.
Sure.
Wasn't that up for a Grammy?
Yes, it was. It was for, like, inspirational or one of those, pre-show Grammys.
A Grammy's a Grammy.
Yes, that's the only album I did. And, the reason I did was the same reason, that I've written this book. It wasn't because I desired to be a writer, and that wasn't because I desired to be a singer. It was just because I knew my audience at that age, that time were young people, and their medium, was music. And I felt like, I wanted to share with young people that they didn't have to go down some of those other paths that I talked about earlier. And so I put some of my thoughts to music and recorded it, and so that I could, reach out to my audience. And the same thing with this book. It's a discipline book for parents of young children, and I know that the girls that watch my show are now young moms. And so this is a book full of hundreds of creative and practical ways to discipline your children that take you beyond timeouts and spankings. And so I know that's where the audience is, and because I'm naturally creative and I had the time and I had the desperation to come up with these different ideas because my son was diagnosed with ADHD, I wanted to share it, so I wrote a book. So very, very similar reasons, but I never did record another album.
Now, ADHD is attention deficit? Or no, it's
hyperactivity
ADD.
disorder.
It's what?
Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.
Chris,
Okay.
thank you for your call. One more. Lee.
Good morning, Lisa.
Hi.
I was wondering if your children start to pursue acting one day, how you will encourage them or if you may persuade them not to.
Well, that's a good question, a tough question, because my oldest daughter just the other night told me, she said, I want to be an actress, and I don't want to just do church shows and homeschool plays. I want to be a real actress.
Really?
So I'm having to deal with that, and also because the reunion show will have a daughter, Blair having a daughter and a son. She's the only one that would be inclined, and I'm really having to think about it because I don't want her to get into the business. I think it's a lose-lose situation. Either she gets really successful and she makes a lot of money, and then where do you go from there, making so much money as a 9-year-old? I mean, how can you go up from there?
Well, you did, and you turned out okay.
That's true. That's true. I was very, very, it was fortunate that I went straight from the show to having, to being married and having kids, and so that was a wonderful transition.
I mean,
Well,
maybe
with you guiding her, I mean,
yeah, you could say, maybe because she has such a strong foundation, she might not be as susceptible to some of the bad influences that are out there. And clearly, it is more crass and it's harsher. It's worse than it was back when you were doing it, right?
Definitely.
Hollywood
and, that's true. I turned out okay, but I think of it very much like going to Vegas. Yes, somebody may hit the jackpot, but the chances are they're not going to.
And
the chances are they're going to come home broke.
And then you have the other side of that coin is, okay, what are the repercussions of me not letting my daughter pursue what she wants to do? Like, how is that going to come back to bite me?
Well,
it's a tough thing.
It's not a given that a child should be allowed to go into a business at 9 years old.
Well,
I can say when she gets to be 18 if she wants to make that choice, but I don't think I'm being a bad mom if I don't let her, work professionally in a very harsh business at 9.
the book is out. It's called Creative Correction. Lisa, is it available everywhere?
It is available everywhere, although it's easiest just to get it online, Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com.
And I'll tell you where else you can get it at on the Morning X website. We'll put it on the Morning X reading room or library, whatever we call it, and you can click on it, and it'll hook you right up to Amazon, and you can buy it right off our website.
Lisa, it was a pleasure to meet you.
Thanks, my pleasure.
Lisa Whelchel.
Joe, we have to leave. Let me guess. You forgot your peroxide.
It's Dwayne. I'm afraid he has a crush on me.
Blair, this may come as a shock to you, but not every guy in the world is in love with you.
He touched my hand.
Dwayne is not going to dump his fiancée just because you walked into his life 2 minutes ago. Come on, you're making a big deal out of nothing. Are you sure? Trust me. You're good, but not that good.
The best of the Morning X on 99X. Barnes, Leslie, and Jimmy. The original 99X.